Hey guys, I'm doing a solo episode today all about money mindset. So if that's something that you struggle with, let's dive in together. We talk so much about money mindset in Eve Academy, my group for women entrepreneurs. And I wanted to talk to you about a few statistics that I thought were really interesting. We underestimate how far we've come as women when it comes to money. And I think these numbers and these dates will give you some insight on that. So until the 1960s, women in the US couldn't even open a bank account without their husband's permission. I mean, that's not that long ago. You could be a full-grown working adult woman and the bank would still require a man's signature for you to access your own money. Absolutely insane. And it wasn't until 1974, 50 years ago, that the Equal Credit Opportunity Act was passed that allowed women to apply for credit cards or loans in their own name. Before that, banks often denied women credit unless they had a male cosigner. And another wild one, in the UK, women couldn't even apply for a mortgage without a male guarantor until 1981. That is wild. That's in my lifetime. I was born in 79. Absolutely insane. So think about that for a second. Our grandmothers and maybe even some of our mothers weren't even allowed to manage their own finances independently. And here we are today running businesses, earning six figures and even seven-figure incomes and changing that narrative. While we've made huge strides legally, those generational stories about money, whether we should or it's greedy or we shouldn't focus on it, they still linger. So let's talk about those stories because this is where a lot of us get stuck. To be honest, there was a time when I felt uncomfortable even using the word abundance. I'd say it immediately feeling like, oh, I had to justify it. Like, I don't mean money, I mean joy. I mean opportunities and freedom, but let's call it what it is. I meant money. I mean money. The problem is that so many of us are taught that wanting money is bad or greedy. And we hear things like, you should be happy with what you have, or it's not about the money, it's about the impact. Or my personal favorite is, if you're doing something meaningful, you shouldn't care about getting paid for it. And these are stories we don't just hear from the outside, we tell them to ourselves because it's so ingrained in us. But here's the truth. Money is not greedy. It's not selfish. It is a tool, and it's a necessary tool that allows you to create the life you want, invest in your growth, and serve others at the highest level. Think about it this way. If you're not getting paid for the service or product that you provide, how long could you keep that going? How long could you show up for your clients, for your team, for your family if you're running on empty? You really can't. So let's bring some numbers into the conversation because facts have a way of cutting through all of this fluff. According to a study by Ellevest, 61% of women would rather talk about their own death than money. Wow, that's insane. We've made it so taboo that many of us would rather discuss our mortality than our finances. And here's another one. Women are less likely than men to negotiate their salaries. Studies show us that 34% of women negotiate pay compared to 46% of men. And when women do negotiate, they often ask for less than their male counterparts. And let's not forget that wealth gap. While we talk a lot about the gender pay gap, the wealth gap is even bigger. On average, women own 32 cents for every dollar a man owns. And for women of color, that number is even smaller. These aren't just numbers. They're reflections of a system that has for generations discouraged women from stepping into their financial power. And it's up to us to change that. Bottom line is you need to get paid. If you're running a business, whether you're coaching or consulting, creating or building something that's entirely unique, you've invested time, money, and energy into honoring that craft. You're solving real problems, creating transformations, and delivering value that is worth something. And stop softening your language around money. I know so many women that say things like, it's not about the money, it's an energy exchange, or they avoid using the words pay me altogether. Why? Because we're afraid of sounding pushy or greedy. But here's the truth. When you get paid, you're not just earning for yourself. You're creating the resources to do more good in the world. You're funding your ability to grow your business. You're creating opportunities for others, whether it's hiring a team, donating to causes or you care about, or supporting your own family. And most importantly, you're showing up at your highest level because you're not operating from a place of lack or burnout. Money fuels impact. And the more that we own that truth, the more we empower ourselves and the women around us to rise. This all sounds really great, but how do we shift our mindset around money? Well, here are a few things that you can try. Acknowledge the stories. I want you to take a minute to reflect on the stories you've been telling yourself about money. Do you feel guilty for wanting it? Do you avoid talking about it? Awareness is the first step to change. Owning your value. You're providing something that solves a problem and creates clarity or transforms someone's life. And that's valuable, and it's okay to charge for it. I want you to get comfortable talking about money. Start small. Have conversations about money with your friends, with your team, or your partner. The more we normalize these discussions, the easier it gets. And I want you to set clear prices and stick to them. Stop apologizing for your rates. You've worked for your experience and the prices that reflect your value. And here's a big one. I want you to set clear prices and stick to them. Stop apologizing for your rates. You have worked really hard. You've invested in your education and your training and the amount of time that you've spent honing your craft or whatever it is that you're providing for your ideal client. You need to stop apologizing for your rates because you are serving them. You are giving them a solution they need to transform something in their own business or their own life. And that is very valuable. You need to have your prices reflect the value that you're bringing. So I want you to keep thinking money is a tool. It's not the end goal, but it's what allows you to show up fully and serve others and create that life that you've been dreaming of. This is a business. This isn't a hobby. You're not doing something for your friend as a favor. You are charging for a service or a product that changes somebody else's business life in some way or shape or form. You are bringing them value. You're providing a solution that they really, really need. If I had sat back and said, I have fun doing this. Listen, I do. I absolutely, totally geek out over working on a new brand. I love color palettes, and it just makes me so excited to see somebody else's business come to life based on something that myself and my team worked on. Totally love it. However, I'm not going to just do it for fun. I have to get paid. I support a team of incredible women. If I said, hey guys, we really like doing this, so this one's just going to be a freebie, they'd laugh, and they should, because nobody should ever work for free. You are providing a service, and for somebody, you need to be charging for it. One of our Eve members was just telling me this story about how she was negotiating her rate for a service. And initially, what almost came out of her mouth was way lower than it should be. And she did hold herself back and went home and thought about it, and then came back to the table with a realistic number. And you know what? They accepted it with glee. We're so excited because what she's providing, they can't do and don't have. So for them to be able to bring her in and use her beautiful resources for their students, it's providing incredible educational tools for this classroom and for this teacher. So while she loves what she's put together and is doing, and she feels like it's this, soul-filling work, it's still worth something substantial. This woman has a master's degree. She's got all of these teaching certificates and teaching accolades. So what she spent in time and money on her training and education, immeasurably valuable. I'm so glad that she took a minute and took a pause and then thought, wait a minute, this needs to be a business. I'm going to share a personal story about my money mindset. When I was accepting a job in the city, I was negotiating that salary. I was super young. I was negotiating with a man. I was very intimidated for sure. And he penny pinched me insanely. He knew what I was making at that time, and he added what my round trip train ticket was going to be. And that's what he offered me as a salary. And in my head, I thought, well, I'm paying my dues and everyone, has to start somewhere. And this was like technically my dream job on paper. So I accepted way less than I should have. And what ended up happening is I couldn't even stay in for a year. It ate me alive that I was working so hard. I mean, it was a job that had me from when I got on the train in the morning at 6:30 all the way until sometimes 2 a.m. I wasn't getting paid overtime. I had so little money. I had to walk back from FedEx at midnight or later because I didn't have enough money to get the cab. And I never even asked my boss if he would pay for the cab for me. Looking back at that girl who was so insecure and thought she wasn't worth anything, she absolutely should have asked, hey, not only do I need more of a salary, I am running your office. I am here way later than I ever should be. I'm not getting paid overtime. I'm not getting stipend for these cab rides that I have to take. I should have asked for all of it. But why didn't I? Because I was a kid in my head and I wasn't worth it. And he was my superior and older and this seasoned designer and business owner and everything that I thought I wanted my future to look like. So I thought, well, I eventually will get there. But that hustle and grind idea from when I was younger, it just isn't healthy. And it really leads to major burnout and resentment. I should have been asking for more money. I should have stood up for myself, and it probably would have been a better experience. One of the most incredible money experiences I've had with a client, and this is a man that is a wealth management principal. And I sat in his conference room and we talked about my rates. And he said to me, if you were to charge me less, I would think your service wasn't good, because there is this mindset that people look at a low price as cheap. You're undervaluing your product or service by just not charging what it should be. If you were to look at two different hairdressers, for instance, and one charges $30 for a haircut and the other charges $200 for a haircut, who do you think does a better job? Now, it might be the $20 haircut. She might be absolutely incredible, but I'm going to go to the probably $200 person thinking that she's going to provide a better service because her price point is more average of what that service costs. So you are actually devaluing your service by not charging what it's worth. It's a mental thing. Somebody sees these numbers, they're automatically going to equate what you're offering as not as quality of a product or service. So I have a challenge for you. I want you to have a real conversation about money this week. Family member, friend, whoever feels comfortable to do with. Even if it's just journaling for yourself, I want you to be honest about where you're at and where you want to go. It's time to stop tiptoeing around getting paid and start owning and stepping into your financial power. Because when women rise financially, everyone benefits. If you guys are also looking for some more resources on how to change your mindset around money, I cannot recommend enough the books by Rachel Rogers. She has several books out there. I've listened to $1 Million Habits at the gym. Absolutely changed my whole mindset around how I see money, how often I'm looking at my money too. Very actionable, quick little habits that you can start to put into place that will help. And then she has We Should All Be Millionaires, absolutely excellent. And the $1 Million Action, it's a step-by-step guide to making wealth happen. Ladies, we are worth more. So I want you to embody that idea. It's not greedy. It's not crass. You're worth everything. I hope that this message reaches the ears of everyone that thinks they can't talk about money, they can't ask what they're worth. Yes, you can. Comment, leave me your stories. I want to hear them on Instagram. We are the Eve Academy. Come check us out and leave me your comment. What are your money mindsets? What are your money blocks? Like and subscribe. Do all the podcasty things to help this podcast grow. I'll see you guys next time. Have a great one.